Hi, I'm Andrea and I'm reviewing tea. I started this last year because I was given an advent calendar of tea, but last year I just did quick little written updates on Facebook and mostly just to amuse myself and to show that I appreciated the gift that I had been given. And so I was given tea again this year in an advent calendar, but I thought that I might actually try doing it as video so that people could actually see a little bit more of what tea it is that I'm drinking, what it looks like, and I would talk a little bit about some of the flavor profiles within that particular tea. This year's tea does come from David's Tea. This video is not sponsored by them. This just happens to be the set that I was given. So it's a nice thick box, 24 days of tea. I believe last year I actually had 25 because it actually included a Christmas morning tea, but I won't hold that against them, in part because this year's tea is loose leaf, and I'm really excited about that. So here is what the inside of that calendar looks like. And it has the countdown to the most wonderful time of the year with a festive collection of holiday tea. Behind every door you'll find a lush loose leaf blend, including much requested throwback faves, unique online exclusives, must-have bestsellers, and sneak peeks of new teas. It's like unwrapping a gift from you to you every day. I do love tea, so this absolutely is a wonderful little endeavor for me. So here we are at day one. And we're going to go ahead and pull that guy out. Set that aside. So the tea comes in these little tins like that. And you can see the tea right in there. And this one is Let It Snow. So the Let It Snow, if I grab my tea box back, all of the teas are described here. Let It Snow contains candied pineapple, green tea, black currants, apple, cinnamon, white chocolate, cloves, stevia extract, and natural flavoring. So this is a green tea base, which means that in general it's going to be a medium caffeinated level, and considering the fact that I'm doing this at 6:30, probably better. Granted, I actually don't really struggle with caffeine problems, so this shouldn't be a big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and open that, and it's very spicy in smelling it. You can definitely smell that clove, but it's also sweet, which I believe is that white chocolate. So let's see if I can get some of this out here. So looking over here on my other camera view, this is some sort of chunk of clove, probably, that crumbles easily, so that's going to be the white chocolate. Here is a very large black currant, larger than I would expect. You can see the leaf of the green tea there. And here we've got some candied pineapple. So those ingredients are all accounted for, which you would expect. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer this to my tea ball here. And it just barely fits into my tea ball, which we can see here. Getting all that good stuff into the tea ball. And all right, closing that. I'm putting it into this white teacup over here, so that way we can see the color of the actual tea once it has steeped. I have already warmed some water, so that way you didn't have the horrible noise in the background. And so we're gonna go ahead and get that. And measure about, I'm going to do 6 ounces of tea. 6 ounces of water here. I might go ahead and pour in a little bit more. We'll see. Oh no, my teacup might be a little tiny small. Barely. Okay, perfect. All right. All right, so while the tea steeps, I kind of figured I would chat a bit about some of these ingredients that are in this tea that make it unique. One of which is that candied pineapple, and candied fruit, just point of interest, dates back to the 14th century, and we candied fruit back then because it was a way of preserving it. I definitely am guilty of letting things go bad in my fridge, so candying fruits is a way to absolutely preserve it, which is expected. Think about how long Twinkies last, right? So depending on the size and type of the fruit, if you do go about candying and preserving your own, preservation can take anywhere from days to months. So these are really tiny chunks of pineapple, but I imagine they probably come from a much larger candied piece. And pineapple in general is going to be a larger fruit. So I would guess it's going to be a little bit closer to that month-long range. But the process does, of course, let the fruit stay edible for up to a year. Candied fruit never lasts that long around me. I love it. And most commonly, candied fruits are used in fruit cakes or as toppings for pancakes, which, makes me question why fruitcake ends up getting such a bad rap, because again, I love candied fruit. And I don't know that I've ever actually had fruitcake though, so might have to endeavor to try that. The other ingredient that I thought was interesting in this tea is the blackcurrant. And so just a little bit about the plant. Blackcurrants are a woody shrub berry of the family Grossulariaceae. I said that very slowly so I could try and pronounce that correctly. And it is native to Central and Northern Europe and Northern Asia. It prefers a damp, fertile soil. It is a winter hardy plant, but if it is too cold during spring flowering season, the berry crop is going to be reduced, which people who are gardeners probably would go, well, yeah, duh, that happens. And in Scotland, Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Norway, and New Zealand, there are breeding practices to try and produce plants that will have better fruit for the eating and ones that are more durable all around. So a lot of the GMO stuff that we tend to see in food makes it more hardy and durable to the weather. So that's what's currently happening there, but it's selective breeding. Chaos noises in the background. I have cats. So other things about blackcurrants, they are good for you. They're rich in vitamin C and polyphenols, which basically means that they're high in tannins, that kind of flavor that you get in wine. And flavonoids. And blackcurrants are also used in dyes for fabrics. So if you're going to be using blackcurrants to make jam or what have you, handle with care because it will stain your fingers and your clothes. You can eat blackcurrants raw, but most commonly people will cook them and put them into sweet or savory dishes, or as I've mentioned, put them in jams and preserves or potentially syrups. Fun fact, you can also get them dried like craisins or raisins or any other dried fruit. I actually have a bag and I have them because I wanted to make my own fatty cutties. And a fatty cutty is this really chewy, buttery biscuit. And it's so good. I had them when I was in the Orkneys and they're a perfect little tea biscuit. Really, really good. Actually pretty easy to make as well because they don't have to have really super straight edges or anything. It's okay if they look a little homely, which is good news for me because I'm not the best at baking. Truthfully, I actually think that because of the blackcurrant in this tea, it would be really good if I had a fatty cutty, but ain't nobody got time to do all the baking and prep tea and work and all that kind of stuff. Well, probably people have time for it, just not me. Anyway, I am going to actually find the fatty cutty recipe that I used when I got back from the Orkneys last summer before everything shut down, and I'll put it in my description for this video So in case you're interested in making a fatty cutty and trying it, you can. Again, they're really good, and I think that they're really excellent with tea. Really love that this ingredient explanation kind of became an homage to fatty cutties. Oh well. I'm gonna check in on my tea here. It's still pretty light in color, kind of a goldish color here. I'm not sure if that's gonna be improved or not. Get a spoon and see if I can stir that around a little. So yeah, some of the tea particles have obviously slipped through my tea ball here, but it's, you know, stirring it is actually getting a little bit more of that color to more evenly disperse throughout, so we can actually analyze it. And it's a really nice golden color. Kind of expect that it's probably close to ready. Oh, and you can definitely smell it. I'm standing, you know, not leaning over my tea or anything here, and it's smelling really, really nice. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and carefully scoop out my tea ball. I'm just gonna drop it in there. I try to get a couple steeps out of some tea. We'll see if that's actually effective here. So we'll bring this nice and close. So yeah, you can see some of the particulates definitely sifted down to the bottom there, but it is really a lovely golden color. So let's go ahead and give this a sip. Interestingly, the taste that I get the most out of this tea is the white chocolate. It's very, very forward, and as I'm looking again at the tea, I can actually see some of that oil from the fatty part of the white chocolate there has separated from the melted white chocolate in there, and it's hanging around on the surface of my cup, so that might explain why I'm tasting mostly the white chocolate in this. And then I think the next taste I get after that is definitely the clove, more of the spice. I'm not really getting a lot of fruity notes. I think at the back I can kind of taste some of that green tea, that sort of signature grassy taste that makes a lot of people not necessarily like green tea. But it's a very, very distant aftertaste on that. Predominantly this tastes like slightly spiced white chocolate. So if you're a white chocolate fan, then yeah, this tea is absolutely going to be great, but if you're not, I would say skip this one. Other thing I thought I might talk to you really quickly about here is the name of this tea, Let It Snow. So obviously we know Let It Snow is a carol or a song that is probably playing quite a bit if you listen to popular radio stations or just have Christmas playlists and things like that. So interestingly, when you search for it, you will get a bunch of plot summaries and reviews for various Hallmark and Netflix movies, so there's that to know about the title as well. In any case, some things I didn't know about the song is that it was written in a heat wave period in California in the middle of July in 1945, and the lyricist Sammy Kahn and composer, can't even read my handwriting here, looks like Jesse Styne. But anyway, Kahn and Styne were imagining something other than the heat that was prevalent everywhere. And so if you go back and re-listen to the song, there's no mention of any holiday. But because of the winter vibes, it's obviously become a bit of a Christmas anthem here, at least in North America. But apparently if you go to the Southern Hemisphere, you might end up hearing it anytime during June, July, August, when it is winter for those countries that are south of the equator. I also thought it was interesting that in New Zealand, at the time of Matariki, which is the season of the rising of the Pleiades cluster, which is in late May, early June, you might hear this song quite a bit. It's kind of a Maori New Year sort of celebration, and it offers, that whole kind of renewal, refreshing kind of thing. The same thing that we do at New Year's, but at a very different point in time for that culture, which I thought was really interesting. And that is a brief explanation of something that I know very little about, and that's this tea. Overall, I do think I would recommend it. It's a nice, pleasant, light-bodied tea, but again, if you're not a big fan of white chocolate or sweet, definitely give this one a miss. Thank you for adventuring with me, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.